is up, you guys? It is Zach, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we are going to be reviewing Back 4 Blood, which is out on the Xbox consoles, the PlayStation consoles, as well as PC. Now, this is the second video in Back 4 Blood week. As you can see in this infographic up here, I am doing a whole week dedicated to Back 4 Blood. There are streams, there are videos, a bunch of really cool things around the game's first expansion, so definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new here. There's a lot of fun content still to come out. And of course, make sure to look out on the community feed as well as my YouTube channel and my Twitch channel. I will be streaming Back 4 Blood a lot this week, so keep an eye on that. And without any further ado, we're going to start getting into the review. Now, I do want to put a little disclaimer here saying that I will be kind of comparing this game in some instances to Left 4 Dead. This game is definitely meant to be above and beyond what Left 4 Dead was and be different in a lot of areas, and I recognize that throughout this review, but obviously given that this is by the same studio, even the name has the same kind of pattern, this will be compared to Left 4 Dead in a lot of instances while also being viewed as its own new unique game, so keep that in mind as we go through the review. So without any further ado, you guys, let's get started with the review. Fans of Left 4 Dead will feel right at home with this game. It's got the same safe room to safe room, fast-paced shooter action that the Left 4 Dead franchise has been known for, and honestly, it feels so good to return to this. There have been other games like World War Z that have tried to match this, and while it does do a good job, this really does feel more like Left 4 Dead than a game like World War Z, which makes sense because it's by Turtle Rock, yada yada yada, but it honestly is super cool to have this kind of game back. In terms of how this game plays, it honestly feels very good to play. It controls well, at least for me being a controller player on PC. I have had no issues with the controls, it runs really well, and it feels like a really solid first-person shooter. Now, like I said, I've compared this game to Left 4 Dead, but there is one thing, among others, that really differentiates itself from Left 4 Dead, and that is the robust card system that allows you to basically customize your game session. So what you do is you build a deck of cards that you earn through playing the game that could potentially be drawn during your gameplay that you can equip at the beginning of each mission. And this allows you to add perks like increasing reload speed, having bigger ammo capacity, etc, etc. Personally, the cards I put in my deck are cards that increase things like health, ammo, stamina, and there's one really cool card that allows me to regenerate 2 health for every melee kill I get. Since I like to play using melee weapons, it feels very advantageous for me to have this card, especially as someone who gets hurt and killed a lot. But there are also these things called corruption cards that the game's director, or basically just the game, will play against you that change how each run is played. Corruption cards can do many different things, like changing the traits of Special Ridden, which we'll talk about in a little bit. It can make the level super dark and have security doors go off and be foggy. It can make a boss ridden spawn, and much more. These cards really make the gameplay interesting and unique for each playthrough you do, and personally adds quite a bit of replayability. And not to mention, this game has expansions coming out that will add even more cards to the decks, and honestly, I'm super excited to see what more cards there are going to be. There's a very diverse lineup of characters, with even more characters coming up in the future DLC packs. While the interactions between the characters is not as fluid or refined as Left 4 Dead's was, it's still pretty good, and it would be very hard to make it as good as Left 4 Dead's anyways. In Left 4 Dead, you had a set group of 4 survivors who were the only survivors you could play as. In Back 4 Blood, there are many survivors to choose from, and you could have different survivors with each other in every single campaign playthrough you do. So naturally, the conversation and the dialogue won't be as fluid. You will get repeating lines, but I still think it's really good. Each character also has their own exclusive perks that are unique to them, as well as their own starting loadout, which you can change. You're not stuck with that character's loadout. My favorite character personally is Holly. Holly starts off with a shotgun and a baseball bat named Dottie. Yes, the baseball bat has a name, it's really cute. Usually I switch out the shotgun for an SMG, but I really love Dottie, and the perks that she has are honestly pretty cool, at least for what I like. Her perks mostly help with having higher stamina, as well as having higher damage resistance, and some of these are across the whole entire team, so not just exclusive to the character. Like Left 4 Dead, this game features zombies, except in this game they're not necessarily called zombies, they are called the Ridden. But they basically act as zombies, but also like Left 4 Dead, this game also has Special Infected, called Special Ridden in this game, which are different variants of the Infected that spice up the gameplay a bit. The special written are honestly really cool as well, with my personal favorites being the snitchers that let out ear-piercing screams when you startle them and will attract a horde, as well as the sleepers who hide in walls and lunge out at the cleaners whenever they come too close. But there's a whole array of them, a whole smorgasbord of different special written for you to go up against. And going back to the cards, there are corruption card versions of these special written that change some of their characteristics. For example, it can turn tall boys into bruisers. Bruisers whip their arms around like nobody's business and can cause extra damage. Or they can change the Reeker to become a wretch who vomits out acidic bile at the cleaners that'll take away their health. There's a lot of really good stuff in this game, and I love how much it really feels like Left 4 Dead in a lot of instances. But okay, this point is going to sound like two completely unrelated things, but I do believe they are actually connected, and that is the online matchmaking as well as the structure of the campaign. Rather than having many smaller campaigns with 4 to 5 chapters like Left 4 Dead has, Back 4 Blood has one really big campaign with 4 acts and many chapters and missions within each act. So think of it as one giant campaign with a lot of different missions in it as opposed to Left 4 Dead's smaller, more bite-sized campaigns. The problem that this causes is that, say I stop the campaign on Act 3, Chapter 2, Mission 2, and pick it up another day. If I want to resume playing it online with people, and of course this would be random strangers, I have to hope to find people on that particular mission to continue. Otherwise I'd have to play by myself. Earlier in the first act, it was easier for me to find people to play online with, but now that I'm later in the game, I've been having to play solo because I can't find people to play with. And I know this is another comparison to Left 4 Dead, but I feel like this is one of the things where it's a change that I'm not a huge fan of. I would have preferred smaller campaigns that are like, let's say, an hour to play through each, rather than a really big campaign that's multiple hours that you can't really play all in one go. You really have to take it piece by piece, but if you're resuming on the third piece, there's probably not a lot of other people that are in the same spot as you, if that makes sense. So this next point is admittingly a very minor thing, but I wish the game had a bigger soundtrack. Music can add a lot to a gaming experience, and I feel like more music would have helped. More specifically, music cues for the special infected. Another comparison to Left 4 Dead, one thing that game did well was the music when special infected were nearby, specifically the tank and the witch. Adding that really tense, epic music when a tank shows up and makes each tank encounter feel really impactful, really engaging for you to battle. And then when the witch starts crying and singing, you get that shiver down your spine and immediately turn off your flashlight as to not startle her, and look around helplessly hoping not to randomly walk into her.
Oh, hell no! Reloading.
All of those little music cues really add a sense of dreary atmosphere to the game, and Back 4 Blood really doesn't have that. Big giant boss battles against boss-ridden like the Ogre or the Breaker have really no music to accompany them, so you're facing off these epic battles with big monsters with no real umphy music behind it. It just lessens the impact of each battle, in my particular opinion, when you don't have that music accompaniment, especially given that the boss battles in this game are bigger than your tank battles in Left 4 Dead. These are bigger, they have more health, they take longer, so having an epic soundtrack to accompany those battles really wouldn't have gone amiss. I really wish they did that. Admittingly, I really liked the title theme of Back 4 Blood. It sounds so good with that epic electric guitar riff. It just sounds so good. So good, in fact, that I wish there was just more music like that throughout the game. Or even just music to add a little bit more of a dreary atmosphere. One thing that the first Left 4 Dead game did so well was really made you feel like you're in a hopeless space, with the title music especially, with the girl singing and all that. It just makes you feel like you're in a hopeless environment. But with without that, it just more so feels like an action-y game, and that's not a bad thing altogether, but I do like a little bit more of an atmosphere, a little more spook with my horror games. And I know this game necessarily isn't intending to be a horror game, but for a zombie game, I did kind of want a little bit of that. Overall, this game is a heck of a lot of fun. It almost feels like the true sequel to Left 4 Dead that many people wanted, but what makes this game shine is some of the new things it tries, particularly the new card system. It adds an element of customization that makes the experience feel refreshing each time you played it compared to other cooperative first-person shooters. While the campaign structure is not the best, and I wish the game had more creepy music to make the experience have more of a dreary atmosphere like the first Left 4 Dead game did, it's still a great time. I have seen many people that really wanted this to just be like Left 4 Dead 3, to really just feel like a true sequel to the Left 4 Dead games. And I kind of understand that, as I really want a Left 4 Dead 3 as well. But Turtle Rock have made it clear that this is like Left 4 Dead and is definitely comparable to it, but is meant to be more than that. It is meant to stand on its own 2 feet and not completely rely on what Left 4 Dead did before, but to bring back those fans for a new, fresh experience that will still feel like Left 4 Dead. With all that said, this game is really solid, and I cannot wait to see what they do in the future expansions. So my score for Back 4 Blood is 8 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think of Back 4 Blood down in the comments down below. I would truly love to hear what you all have to say, and I really hope you all enjoyed. Definitely make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe, all of that stuff down below. Hit that notification bell so that you're notified of whatever videos I upload next, and check out the merch store. There's some cool ZakPak merch up on there for you to check out. And until next time, you guys, I'll see you all in the next video.